Hi there, this is Mike Knapp from Incrementa Consulting, and I'm here today with Jamu Kakar, who's been leading remote teams for most of his life and has worked with companies like Canonical, who does Ubuntu, the operating system, and Stripe. Now, we all know that there's a lot of challenges in working with remote teams, but the biggest one is usually communications and creating real connections in the team. So what are the top things that you recommend that leaders do to start developing those areas?
A few things. One, have a well-structured planning meeting every week. My goals for the planning meeting are to make sure that everyone understands what we're doing and why we're doing it, what is the purpose and impact of our projects, and to identify the conversations we have to move the issues of the day forward. So that's one part. The second part is you need time to connect with people, and the group needs time to build its group dynamic. And so we have a weekly campfire. It's 1 hour, everyone's in Zoom, video on, and it's unstructured time. So often during the week, topics will come up and I'll say, oh, that's a great topic to talk about during campfire. Sometimes we have no topics and we just talk about whatever, what are you doing this weekend, what's going on, but it's time to just build connection, and it's an unstructured time. And then the third thing is to have one-to-one calls with everyone on your team. And I recommend that both for the manager and the individual reports on the team, but also between individual members of the team. Then as a manager, I always have a private agenda document between myself and the person I'm having a call with. I encourage them to put topics there ahead of time. I do the same. Then over time, I make sure that we have conversations about career development, about tactical things related to the ongoing projects, about their specific needs, anything that's going on with them, and basically just always find ways to maintain a connection and understand what people need, what they're going through, and help them out.
And I've said before that those one-on-one meetings are incredibly important for any leader to have, but I guess they're extra important when you're remote and you don't get to be face-to-face with that person every day.
That's right. Slack and email and all the various tools we use to communicate are great, but they can't replace connection, right? When you file a JIRA ticket about something, I don't actually know what you're thinking about it or how you feel about it. And so, I think my number one tip actually is just communicate. Have real conversations.
Yeah. And I take that the next level in that communicate, yes, absolutely, but don't limit it to text or email. Don't limit it to Slack. Don't even limit it to phone calls. Get video as often as possible so that you're face-to-face even over distance. And
That's right.
You get to start getting the subtle side of the communications and the energy that way instead.
That's right. And thus you can have the real conversations and build the real connection that you need.
Yeah, because over email you can't tell how someone's feeling. And that's a real challenge.
A good sign is that if you are in a remote team, when you get an email, you should know the people that you're working with well enough that you read the email and you hear their voice in your head.
Another voice in my head? That's scary. I have enough of those already. So one last thing. You have this remote team. How important is that you actually get together in person from time to time?
It's very important. Human connection by being in the same place, it cannot be replaced by video. And so you need to get together and do the human things like have a meal and share a coffee and things like that. And so I like to get together with my team about once a quarter, depending on the people on your team and the needs of your company. You may do more or less, but get together, get everyone out of their day to day. Use that time for, building the team.
Yeah, so our team is completely remote as well. And we do our monthly meetings in person. So we are just all around the Lower Mainland, but we all come together. We spend at least a half a day, if not a full day together. And a lot of it's structured, but there's so much that unstructured time in reconnecting with each other and developing those bonds tighter so that when we are apart, there's less strain to it. And you hear the person's voice in the back of your head when you read that message,
right,
or the laugh, or whatever that may be. And that connection is real, and it stays there.
One bit of feedback I've constantly heard about on-sites over the years is if there's too much structure and too much schedule, feedback is always, I wish we had more time just to have the conversations we're having. So I like to structure a third or half of it, leave the rest open.
That's fantastic. So thank you so much for your tips. I'm hoping this will be a lot of help for those of you running remote teams. And keep the questions coming. We're having so much fun making videos for you. Have a great day.